Hey guys, today we're at 114 in Columbia, South Carolina.
We'll be interviewing Oehman, Lead Associate Experience, and this is another episode of Stockroom Sessions.
My name is Oehman, and I have been with the company it'll be 14 years, and my current role is Lead Associate Experience.
We also usually like to start with a softball question. So first question, which one of us is your favorite?
That's not fair!
You looked down, she winked at me. Did you see? The camera got it. But just to give a little context, we worked with Audie. Audie was actually the person that helped train us when we got here. We both started the first week, and Audie was the full-time selling manager, right? And helped train us at store 114 in Columbiana Center. So long time ago. So can you just tell us a little bit about, your journey and how you got here, how you got to where you're at right now?
I think we have to go back 14 years to when I started at 77 Kids, which the company used to own. And so I was in Syracuse, New York for that. Loved that. That was a fun experience. And then when the company decided to sell, I thought I wanted to be a Southern Belle and move down south. And so I got the position initially here at 114. And my first weekend working was tax-free weekend. And they told me I wasn't going to have to LOD. And then the manager was like, okay, I'm going to go on my lunch break, so I'm going to have you LOD. And I didn't know a soul. And the first 2 weeks, I was like, what did I get myself into? I was so scared. And then the DTL at the time was like, I see a lot of potential in you. I actually want to move you to 2155, which was a lower volume store at the time, and to really develop you and get that experience. And at the moment, I didn't understand what that meant, but looking back, I so appreciate that she did that for me and saw something in me. And then eventually, a few years later, I did move back to 114 and was here for a few years. And then you guys came in the picture.
Ruined the whole thing.
What? No, you added balance, I would say. So that was a good experience. And then I've always had a passion in training and development. I think you guys knew that when I was working in stores. I just loved taking the associates underneath my wings and then watching them blossom in store. And I had told the DTL at the time that that was something I was really passionate in. And 2 months later, there was a position, my position, that became available in training. And so it just all kind of worked out. So they flew me out to interview for the position. I thought whatever happens, happens. If I don't get it, it was a really great experience. And at that time, I had a blog, and that's what helped me is they got to see my writing style, because a lot of the things that I do involves writing.
I have a few questions about that later
on. Yeah. And so that's kind of how that all came about. And the rest was history. Yeah.
That's probably a pretty broad question. What does your role look like?
This is like such an interesting question, because no 2 days are the same. Like every day is different. What I love about my role is I get to be really creative. At the end of the day, my main focus is I really want to create training for our brand ambassador population specifically that really helps them thrive in their role and really create that epic customer experience and have them feel confident and excited, and not feel overwhelmed. And so a lot of the things that I do is really it's broken down between core and seasonal training. So when you think of core training, you're thinking of like Denim DNA, the stylist program, those things that live day in and day out. Whereas seasonal would be like our must-have items, our stylist lookbooks that we do that have like our big ideas of the season. So I really work with a lot of business partners, from business strategies to our merchants to our designers, to really get that content. And they provide me that content, and then I kind of take it and look to see, okay, how do we want to bring this to life? Is it relevant to bring to life? Because sometimes people will be like, we want training on X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, I don't think this is the right avenue for it. So, but here's what we can do to really make sure that they feel like that their voices are heard, so that it's still getting that information down to associates. So there's a lot of that. And so there's a lot of like project management, planning. Like we're always a season ahead. So we're in BTS right now. I'm already planning for holiday, and I've already gotten an email for spring, the shorts guide. So like I'm always in multiple worlds at once, bouncing around.
Can you talk to me a little bit about how the 9-hour training got started? Like, where did that come from?
So initially, it started with a 2-day onboarding. And so we were testing it in a market that had considerable high turnover. And then we also did, when we were focusing on power center stores, we also had different iterations. So we've had 8 hours, 6 hours, 10 hours, and 12-hour versions of associate onboarding. So imagine having multiple guides for all of that for both the leaders and the associates. It was a lot. But a lot of the content stayed the same. And so through that test, through the power center test, through talking to a lot of people, I was able to really figure out how to create this associate onboarding. And then I also facilitated it, because one thing is you can say like, I think this will work, and you can have people say this will work, but like you really have to see it in action. And so I went to one of our local stores and I did the onboarding. That's when I like realized that, hey, 2 days, we kind of need to break it up into 3 days. And I initially had, just for perspective, with the associate onboarding, it had everything that it had currently now, but it also had time for Denim DNA if you were on the AE side, the Aerie BFF Journal if you were on the Aerie side, and then the offline if you were on offline. But what I found is doing all of that is, it was, even though we broke it up into multiple days, it was overwhelming because we have a lot of jean fits. Like there's a lot to remember. And so that's when I realized, okay, we need to pull that and really think what is truly the foundation that they need to know. And at the end of the day, the selling model is the foundation to everything that they need to know. So we ended up theming out the days. So you have your epic first day, which is really about being brand obsessed and getting them excited to come back. And so they don't really do any like physical training. It's just like learning about the brand, their try on session, which we ultimately added more time when I was talking to people, because I initially had it for like 30 minutes and they were like, we want more time. And I was like, I'll give it to you. Like, you want it? You tell me, because at the end of the day, like I'm here to support the field. Like I'm not just going to make up this time and say this will work.
Now it's the rapid fire section. So we put 30 seconds on the clock. It's like a Rorschach test or Family Feud. Just the absolute first thing that pops into your head, just spit it out. All right. 30 seconds. Are you ready, Audie?
I am ready.
All right. Which TV show would you want to be a character in?
Boy Meets World.
If you had a pet parrot, what would you teach it to say?
Fetch me some eggs.
But that's all he would say. He would just be screaming, fetch me some eggs.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how good are you at keeping a secret?
Like maybe,
That,
like a,
don't tell her secrets.
maybe like a 7.
Okay.
That means it's a 5.
I get excited.
Would you rather be able to speak every language in the world or be able to talk to animals?
Talk to animals.
What's the first one you would talk to?
Dogs.
And what would you ask it?
Rapid fire. Do you want to build a snowman?
Okay. What's the strangest thing you have in your fridge?
I love eggs.
It's just a whole.
It's just racks.
All right. If you could make the ultimate sandwich, what would be on it and what would you name it?
Okay, so
Eggs, maybe?
okay. So actually, yes. So back in the day, I used to love salami, ham, and cheese with mustard, and I call it the Sammy sandwich. So I think I would call it the Sammy sandwich.
That was pretty much it. Did she get it in time? It was close this time, I know. Oh my gosh, she got it. Matt, we do have a special prize for you. Audie, what did we have for her? We know you were part of the Wall of Awesome. It was a huge part of it, so we mocked up the Wall of Awesome, and it's the
oh my gosh, this is so great.
Her Wall of Awesome.
This is amazing. I'm gonna go put this at my desk in my in the office at home office.
But thank you so much for being here, Audie. This was awesome. Everybody, give a big shout out to Audie. Woo! Thanks so much for being here today, guys.
Hope to see you in a stockroom near you.
Rolling. We're good.
Quiet on set.